Okay, this is the whiteboard review for Math 2 Unit 9. Number 1, simplify. This is an addition problem, so we want to add like terms. Both of these are like terms, which means we keep the x to the second power and you add the coefficient. So my answer is 8x squared. Number 2, this is also a subtraction problem, so you don't want to multiply the two binomials together, but you want to make sure you subtract everything in the second set of parentheses. So this becomes 3x plus 8y stays the same, and then you want to do minus 4x and subtract a positive 8y, which would be minus 8y. That'd be the same as distributing a negative to each term. Then I want to check for like terms. So 3x and negative 4x are like terms. 3x minus 4x is negative 1x, or just negative x. And then positive 8y minus 8y is 0, so those cancel, and your answer is just negative x. Number 3 says factor. This is, first I want to check my binomials for difference of squares. It is subtraction, so that means difference, and x squared is a perfect square, 9 is a perfect square. So x squared factors to x times x. 9 factors to 3 times negative 3. So my answer here is x plus 3 times x minus 3. You always want to check your answer, because this only works with difference of squares. So I'm checking x plus 3 times x minus 3. I'm doing my base times my height. X times x is x squared. 3 times x is 3x. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. And negative 3 times positive 3 is negative 9. After multiplying these together, I combine like terms. Negative 3x and positive 3x combined to give you 0, which means after multiplying these together, I get x squared minus 9, which was my original question. So that means yes, x plus 3 times x minus 3 does multiply to x squared minus 9, which means x squared minus 9 factors to x plus 3x minus 3. So make sure you're giving this as your answer, and this is just the part where you check your work. So I'm saying yes, I was able to get back to the original question. Number 4, we want to factor this expression. The best way to do that is to write out x plus 3 squared as x plus 3 times x plus 3. The rest of the equations, or the expression, stays the same. Okay, so now I have x plus 3 times x plus 3 minus x plus 3 times x plus 2. The same thing that's being multiplied to in each of these expressions is x plus 3. That is the exact same here and here, which means it's my greatest common factor. You bring your greatest common factor out to the front, and after dividing it out of each term, we can see what's left over. So these x plus 3's cancel, and I'm left with this x plus 3. These x plus 3's cancel, because x plus 3 over x plus 3 equals 1, and I'm left with this x minus 2. But remember, it was a binomial. There were two terms up here. So what separates these two terms from each other is this subtraction sign. So make sure you have that subtraction sign in your answer as well. My answer for number 4 is x plus 3 times the quantity x plus 3 minus x plus 2. Number 5, we want to multiply 3 different terms together. So multiplying the first term, which is 2 times 3x plus 4, we can distribute the 2 to each term in the first binomial. So that gives me 6x plus 8, because 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8. We're just going to bring this binomial straight down. Then, to multiply binomials, you have two options. You can use it as a base.
Elena Rodriguez, please report to the attendance office. Elena Rodriguez, please report to the attendance office.
You can use it as a base and a height. My base is 6x plus 8, and my height is 2x plus 7, which means I multiply 6x times 2x is 12x. 8 times 2x is 16x. Oh, sorry. X times x gives me x squared. Don't forget your x squared term. 6x times 7 is 42x. And 8 times 7 is 56. When I separate these using the area model, I'm doing my base times my height, which means my area is all of the areas inside combined. So I get 12x squared. You add 42x plus 16x to give you 58x. And then add 56x to the end. And that is your answer. But if you wanted to multiply these by using distribution, it would look like this. You would distribute the 6 to each of these terms. So distribute the 6, and we get 12x squared. 6 times 7 is 42x. Distribute the 8 to each term, and you get 16x and 56. And then you can combine like terms to get 12x squared plus 58x plus 56. You can see that I got the same answer as on the right hand side. On the right, I used the area model, and on the left, I used distributing. Distribute the first term, distribute the second term. Either way is correct. We've been using the area model. So for the purposes of this class, I'm going to show the rest of the examples of multiplying using the area model. Number 6, multiply x plus 3 squared. That just means x plus 3 times x plus 3. I write it out twice because it's to the second power. Then to multiply using the area model, we're going to do x plus 3 times x plus 3. Give you x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. Combining like terms, 3x and 3x are my like terms, so it gives me x squared plus 6x plus 9, and that is your final answer. Number 7 says, what are all the factors of 10x cubed minus 2x squared minus 12x? First, I want to look for a greatest common factor. They're all divisible by 2. So 2 is part of my greatest common factor. They're also all divisible by x.
Guadalupe, please report to the attendance office. Covarrubias, Guadalupe, please report to the
That is my
attendance
lowest exponent. So I won't have anything higher than a 2x that I'm dividing out. Your greatest common factor goes out in front, and you're left with 5x squared minus 1x minus 6. This 2x is one of our factors, but the rest of my factors I need to get by factoring 5x squared minus 1x minus 6. So I'm going to factor this on the side. By using my diamond. Using the diamond, we multiply the first times the last, and that gives us negative 30x squared. The negative 1x goes to the bottom. I want to figure out what numbers multiply to give me 30, so that's 1 times 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. But I need to see what numbers of these also combine to give me negative 1. In order to get a negative number, I need to do a negative times a positive. If I made my 5 negative and my 6 positive, negative 5 plus 6 is positive 1. I don't want a positive down here. I want a negative. So a negative 6x and a positive 5x would combine to give me negative 1x. So this is actually equal to, I'm going to keep the 2x the same. Oh, sorry. Sorry, we're going to factor this side first before we get to that portion. So I'm going to use the 5x and the negative 6x to split up this term here. So the 5x squared stays the same. Then I'm going to use these two numbers instead of this negative 1x here. So I'm going to use the positive 5x and the negative 6x. And then this number right here comes down to join us. So all of these, they shouldn't change the value here. The 5x squared should stay the same, the negative 6 should stay the same, and these two should add to the number that you had prior. And then you're going to factor by grouping, which means we split it and say, what's the greatest common factor here? I can divide by 5 and by x. So when I divide everything by 5x, 5x squared divided by 5x gives me 1x left over. 5x divided by 5x is 1. So I'm going to show that again. 5x squared divided by 5x is x. 5x divided by 5x is 1. Whatever you're dividing by goes out in front of your parentheses. So this 5x in my denominator goes out in front, and whatever's left over goes inside. These are both divisible by negative 6. That means the negative 6 goes out in front of my parentheses, and whatever's left over goes inside. So this negative 6x divided by negative 6 is just x. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is positive 1. These binomials should match each other. So we factor out the x plus 1, and left over is 5x minus 6. So 5x squared minus 1x minus 6 factors to x plus 1 times 5x minus 6. So I'm going to put that right here. X plus 1, 5x minus 6. So that I remember 2x was also one of my factors. So what are all the factors of this trinomial? One of them is 2x, another one is x plus 1, and another one is 5x minus 6. Because those are the three things I multiply together to get 10x cubed minus 2x squared minus 12x. Number 8, multiply and combine like terms to determine the product. Product means multiply, so I'm going to do base times height. My base is 3x minus 5. My height is 5x plus 2. 5x times 3x is 15x squared. Negative 5 times 5x is negative 25x. 3x times 2 is positive 6x. And negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. My middle terms combine. Negative 25 plus 6 is negative 19. They were both x terms, so negative 25x plus 6x is negative 19x. My first and last term don't have like terms. So you just write that one out in front, this one out in back, and you combine the two middle terms. And 15x squared minus 19x minus 10 is our final answer. Please see the next video for the next page.